Ever catch yourself wondering, what if there's more to life than traditional religion? What if it's not the only way to find meaning?
It's a question a lot of people ask, and today's deep dive is all about exploring those alternative paths.
We're diving into the world of beyond theism.
And we'll be drawing on some really fascinating insights from Wikiversity, almost like a crash course in secular philosophy.
You know what struck me when I first checked out this Wikiversity page was how direct it is. Right off the bat, it asks, do you believe in the supernatural?
Yeah, it's pretty bold, isn't it? It's not afraid to tackle those big questions head on.
Totally. And instead of dancing around potentially sensitive topics, it lays it all out there.
It's all about encouraging self-reflection, helping people define their own path, not pushing any one belief system, which I think is really important.
Totally. Like you said, it's about understanding, not judging. And speaking of things that resonate, one theme that kept coming up was compassion as this guiding principle.
It's a powerful idea, right?
Yeah.
That regardless of your religious background, compassion itself can be a moral compass.
Okay, get ready for this. There's a whole section in this material about creation myths, like from ancient Greek titans to indigenous folklore. It's amazing how many cultures have these stories to explain, well, everything.
Right. It shows how deeply ingrained this need to understand our origins is in us. And it makes you think, contrasting those with something like the scientific Big Bang Theory, it's not about dismissing faith, is it? But rather about how we approach the same questions in different ways.
It's about different ways of knowing, different lenses through which we view the world. But here's a line that really got me thinking. Origin stories typically begin somewhere and at some time. It makes you wonder, what came before that? Can any belief system really answer that question?
It's a question that's puzzled philosophers and theologians for centuries. And it's something secular thought really encourages us to sit with, that mystery, that unknown.
All right, this next part is where things get interesting. The Beyond Theism material calls out some religious moral guidance as, and I'm quoting here, archaic, arbitrary, sectarian, divisive, and inconsistent.
It's a bold statement, but what I appreciate is it doesn't just critique, it offers an alternative.
Right, so what's the alternative then?
Universal moral reasoning, thinking about things like intellectual honesty, fairness, considering a global perspective.
So instead of following a fixed set of rules, it's about developing a sense of right and wrong based on reason and empathy. But what does having a global perspective even mean when we talk about morality?
Well, I think it means recognizing that we're all interconnected. It's about moving beyond a narrow, self-centered view and thinking about the well-being of others beyond just our immediate circle.
It's about expanding our circle of compassion to encompass, well, everyone. Which brings us to a topic shrouded in mystery, wouldn't you say? The soul.
Ah, yes, the soul.
It's a complex concept, and honestly, I find it kind of hard to wrap my head around sometimes.
Me too, and this material doesn't shy away from asking those tough questions about it, like how do you define it?
Right, what is it exactly? And the source material throws us this curveball. What about the idea of a detachable soul? One that exists separate from the body?
It's a fascinating concept to explore, especially when we consider things like Alzheimer's disease, where memories and personality change over time. Makes you wonder about the nature of identity and consciousness.
It really does.
Yeah.
Is our soul something we have, or is it more about what we do, the impact we have on the world?
That's such a profound question, and it's one that secular humanism encourages us to wrestle with, to find meaning and purpose in the here and now, rather than just pinning our hopes on this abstract idea of an afterlife.
Which leads perfectly to the next big question. What happens after we die?
Right, the great beyond.
Exactly. The Beyond Theism page uses this really vivid analogy of a candle to talk about it. Imagine the candle burning bright and the flame, that's life.
Okay, I can picture that. The flame flickers, grows, shrinks.
So when that candle burns out, does the flame go somewhere?
Does it just cease to exist? Or does it transform?
Right. It makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. It's a powerful image. And while the source doesn't necessarily say there is a traditional afterlife, it offers an alternative legacy.
Legacy. I like that. So the impact we have on others, the memories we leave behind, that's a kind of afterlife in itself.
Exactly. Our actions have ripple effects, and that impact, that legacy, it can be a powerful motivator for living a life of meaning and purpose.
And that makes me think about hope.
Hope.
Yeah, like so many religions have that built-in, right, like promise of something better in the afterlife.
Yeah.
But for those who don't subscribe to those beliefs, where does hope fit in?
Such a good question. And it can be such a powerful force, too. And this Beyond Theism source material has an interesting take on it.
Oh, yeah.
Basically saying, hope for a better world here on Earth
Mm.
and take steps to make it happen.
It's a call to action. Like, don't just hope, actually do something.
Exactly. Yeah, be
Yeah.
proactive. Recognize that you can make a difference rather than just waiting for something else to come along and fix things.
So it's about agency.
Yeah, I like that.
And that actually ties into another theme we see a lot when we talk about faith.
Right.
Prayer.
Uh-huh.
Like in many religions, it's this way to seek guidance, solace, or even like intervention from a higher power.
Yeah, totally.
But in a secular worldview, how does that translate?
It's a good question because, like, where do you direct those kind of energies, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And the source material suggests instead of looking outward, secular humanism kind of turns that inward,
Okay.
like introspection, self-reflection, seeking advice from mentors or trusted sources.
It's about tapping into your own wisdom.
Exactly. Yeah, like rather than appealing to something external, it's about recognizing and cultivating the resources that you already possess within yourself.
Interesting. So it's not to say that secular humanism is like against community or anything.
No, not at all.
Right.
It actually really emphasizes the value
Yeah.
of human connection.
Yeah, and I think it acknowledges that when you move outside of traditional religious structures, community might look a little different.
For sure. You're not necessarily going to your same place every week, right?
Yeah.
But those needs are still there,
They are.
and they're important.
And there are other ways to fulfill them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whether it's through shared values, common interests, working towards a common goal.
So it could be anything from joining a book club to volunteering for a cause you're passionate about.
Exactly. It's about finding your people, finding those who share your passions, and your desire to make a difference in the world.
I like that. Finding your people, it's so much more than just like going to church.
Right. It really is about recognizing that deeper human need for connection.
And this Wikiversity page, I thought it was interesting. They actually unpack the word faith itself.
Oh, yeah. How'd they do that?
Well, they ask, is it blind belief?
Mm.
Or is it hope? Or is it more like an educated guess, based on what you've experienced?
Interesting.
It's almost like they're saying, well, define it for yourself.
Yeah, what does it actually mean to you?
Right, because it means different things to different people.
Totally. And especially when you think about how faith can be used sometimes, to justify things
Yeah.
or to avoid having to back up claims.
Oh, absolutely.
And the source material is very clear on that.
Okay.
They caution against blind faith.
Yeah.
It's all about reason, evidence, being open to changing your mind when you're presented with new information.
Which aligns perfectly with secular humanism.
It does.
But all this talk about questioning beliefs and exploring new ideas, it makes me think about how big of a change it can be,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
like moving away from traditional religion.
It can be a huge life change,
Huge. And the source material acknowledges that.
which is great.
Yeah, they even offer resources for people going through this.
Oh, cool. Like what?
Like Recovering from Religion, which offers support for people who've left organized religion.
Oh.
And then there's the Out campaign, which is focused on creating more visibility and community for atheists, agnostics, and other secular folks.
It's like finding a different kind of congregation, a community that gets it.
Totally. It's about finding those allies, those people who can really relate to what you're going through and offer guidance and encouragement.
Because everybody needs support, especially when making big life changes.
Absolutely. And this source material goes a step further.
Yep.
They actually provide this list of books and resources
Awesome.
that delve into different aspects of secular thought and living.
That's fantastic. It's like opening up a door to a whole new world of possibilities.
Exactly. And it reminds us that this is an ongoing journey.
Always learning, always growing, always discovering.
It's like setting off on this incredible adventure.
Yeah.
But instead of exploring like new places,
Right.
we're exploring new ways of thinking and believing.
I like that. Yeah, exploring new territories of the mind.
And speaking of which, I think we've reached the perfect spot to maybe wrap up our deep dive into Beyond Theism
Okay, that's good.
with a final thought-provoking quote from the source material.
All right, I like it.
This was from Albert Einstein,
Okay.
and it really gets to the core of what we've been talking about today.
All right, lay it on me.
He said, "There is nothing divine about morality. It is a purely human affair."
Wow, that's powerful.
Right?
It's a good reminder that we as humans,
Yeah.
we have the power to create our own moral compass. It's
Yeah.
not about following some preordained set of rules.
Right.
It's about actively choosing what we value and shaping our own ethical framework.
It's both empowering and a little daunting at the same time.
Totally.
Because we have this freedom, but
Right.
we also have the responsibility.
Yeah, you got to own it.
And it makes me think about how important it is to really think critically about these things. To
Absolutely.
be empathetic, to be open to dialogue and different perspectives.
Because it's complex.
It is.
There's not always an easy answer.
No, there's not.
And it's a conversation that we need to keep having,
Yeah, we do.
together as a society.
We're all kind of figuring this out as we go, right?
That's right. It's a journey,
It is a journey.
but it's a journey worth taking.
Absolutely. Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into Beyond Theism. We hope you found this exploration as interesting and thought-provoking as we have.
And remember, this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
There's so much more out there to explore.
So keep those questions coming, keep those minds open, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.